An area model is a useful tool in performing mental multiplication. If we want to multiply 23 and 46, we can assign each number to the side of a rectangle. Our goal is to calculate the area of the full rectangle by splitting the side lengths into more manageable numbers, like multiples of 10 in single digits. 23 is the sum of 20 and 3. Subdivide the side of the rectangle. 46 is the sum of 40 and 6. Subdivide the top of the rectangle. Now we'll fill in the area of each internal rectangle. "20 times 40 is 800. 20 times 6 is 120. 3 times 40 is 120. And 3 times 6 is 18. Adding up all of the internal areas will give the product of 23 and 46. "800 plus 120 plus 120 plus 18 equals 1058. This is the same number we would get if we plugged 23 and 46 into a calculator. In part B, we will use an area model to find the product of x plus 1 and 3x minus 2. The width of the rectangle is x plus 1 units and the length is 3x minus 2 units. Split the side of the rectangle to x and 1. Split the top of the rectangle to 3x and minus 2. Now find the area of each inner rectangle. X times 3x is 3x squared. X times minus 2 is minus 2x. One times 3x is 3x. One times minus 2 is minus 2. Add together all of the areas to get the product. This is 3x squared minus 2x plus 3x minus 2. Combine like terms. Minus 2x plus 3x is x. The total area of the rectangle is 3x squared plus x minus 2, which is the same as the product of x plus 1 and 3x minus 2. In part C, we'll expand x plus 1 and 3x minus 2 using algebra tiles. Let's draw a grid so we can organize our tiles. X plus 1 can be represented in the left column by a yellow rectangle and a small yellow square. Three x minus 2 can be represented in the top row using 3 yellow rectangles and 2 small red squares. Yellow rectangles multiply together to give a large yellow square. A yellow rectangle times a small red square is a red rectangle. A small yellow square times a yellow rectangle is a yellow rectangle. A small yellow square times a small red square is a small red square. 3 large yellow squares is 3x squared. Three yellow rectangles and 2 red rectangles is 3x minus 2x. The yellow and red rectangles cancel each other out. One yellow rectangle remains, and this represents 1x. Two small red squares represents minus 2. The product is 3x squared plus x minus 2. In Part D, we're asked what generalizations can be made by comparing the area model from Part B with the tile grid from Part C. Both the area model and the tile grid have the following arrangement. The top left rectangle contains x squared terms. The bottom right rectangle contains constants. The other two rectangles each contain x terms. The next generalization is that each quadrant is either positive or negative. As such, it may contain only one tile color. In Part E, we'll factor 3x squared plus x minus 2 using algebra tiles. The goal is to make a rectangle using algebra tiles. Place 3 large yellow squares in the upper left quadrant to represent 3x squared. Put 2 small red squares in the lower right quadrant to represent minus 2. Now place the known x tiles. The middle term is 1x, so place one yellow rectangle in the lower left quadrant. We don't have a rectangle yet, but we've run out of pieces from our trinomial. How do we keep going to make this a rectangle? The next step is to completely fill the current quadrant. We have room for 2 more rectangles, so put them in. Place 2 yellow rectangles in the lower left quadrant along with the first yellow rectangle. Now fill in the empty quadrant with rectangles of the opposite color. We have room for 2 red rectangles in the upper right quadrant. Let's check our rectangle by adding up all of the tiles to make sure they give back the original expression, 3x squared plus x minus 2. Three yellow squares is 3x squared, 3 yellow rectangles plus 2 red rectangles is 1x, and 2 small red squares is minus 2. The rectangle works, so let's find the factors. We need to place one yellow rectangle on the side of the grid and 3 yellow rectangles on the top of the grid. These will multiply to the large yellow squares. If we place 2 small red squares in the top row, we'll get back the 2 red rectangles when we multiply. Now place a small yellow square in the left column to get back the yellow rectangles and the small red squares. We can now answer the question. 3x squared plus x minus 2 has factors of x plus 1 and 3x minus 2.